Hey, all right. All right. We are back.
What an
Yes.
exhausting morning. Oh my God.
What? Tell me about it.
Well,
Gee.
first, I just got off the phone with American Express. So I signed up. We have to take continuing legal education classes,
Mm-hmm.
33 hours. We have to take them. So I signed
Yep.
up for one, and it looked like it came from a lawyer, said, uh, you know, blah, 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 JD.
Okay.
Well, JD is a Juris Doctorate, but if you're a lawyer, after your name, you put Esquire.
Okay.
JD would almost be like PhD, or you know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay.
You just don't do JD really. You put Esquire. Don't ask me why.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
the first thing. So then I logged on to the Florida bar. He ain't a lawyer. He evidently graduated at Florida A&M, FAMU. I can only speculate, but he did not pass the bar.
Okay.
And so he's
Okay.
doing mediations. I go to click onto the Zoom link, not a valid link. Call his phone number. The Google subscriber is not available,
Okay.
and the email bounced back. Now, mind you, it's only
Mm.
$30, but I'm not letting you rip me off for $30. So I just
Yeah.
got off the phone, American Express, this, that, and the other, and I sent a complaint to the Florida bar for the unlawful practice of law.
Ooh.
Don't
Shots
mess
fired.
with
Shots
e-money.
fired. What?
All right. So that having been said, yeah. So yeah, when we just started, Jason's up in highfalutin Tallahassee trying to change the world. God bless him. Sooner
Yep.
or later, we'll hear about his suicide, but we'll talk about that some later date.
We're gonna do like a time lapse of these where as I lose
Uh,
my hair
oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. So I asked Jason, have you heard about the recent Alabama Supreme Court ruling that a frozen embryo is actually a child under the constitutional law of the U.S. I mean the Florida State Constitution for Alabama.
No,
Yeah.
I
So
was
and if you
unaware.
know what, if just so you know, if you an embryo, yeah, they freeze them so you can have a baby later. For whatever
Hmm.
reason, you got to go through in vitro fertilization. It's about 2% of babies born nowadays are IVF. So that's not uncommon. But and just so you know, they're it's the woman's egg and the man's sperm, and they put them together. And when they freeze them, just so you'll know, it's 1/10 of a millimeter. So it's probably barely visible, if visible at all, to the naked eye. If you look at them, they put them in the microscope and they fertilize it and they freeze it.
Hmm.
All right. So, and I'm not here to say whether the Alabama Supreme Court is right, whether the Alabama Supreme Court is wrong. That's not the point. The point is that in Alabama, an embryo is now considered a child, and how it came up was a either one party or multiple parties had their embryos stored at a facility. Right? That's what happens. And at some
Yeah.
point, the facility uh, allowed these embryos to be destroyed or ruined. It could have been electricity with no backup. Someone could have thrown
Oh,
it away by mistake. But either way,
negligence or so.
embryos were destroyed. And
Okay.
so the couples, the parties, one, two, or more, sued them under the Alabama Wrongful Death Act, i.e., you
Okay.
killed my child. And
Okay.
it made its way all the way to the Alabama Supreme Court. My assumption is some of the courts may have said yes or no, or somebody
Wow.
kept appealing until it got to them, and they said yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
what has happened in Alabama, Jason? Do you think as a result of that ruling?
Mm, I would imagine maybe a ton of lawsuits have popped up.
No, no, because my guess is this probably doesn't happen too often, but it does
Okay.
happen. A
Okay.
uh, a substantial number of the clinics, the fertility clinics, have shut down or at least paused because
Right.
one, If something happens, you could
Mm-hmm.
be subject to civil liability. I mean, if you kill someone's child, that could be millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And if, let's say, you somehow lose electricity or otherwise, you know,
Drop it.
the
Oh,
whole the whole
I don't know how that works.
the whole stored embryos, they're all destroyed. I mean, it could be hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's number
Mm.
one. So a lot of them said, well, we gone. But more importantly, part of this process of IVF, I'm just going to say it's in vitro fertilization, is
Right.
you get 5, 10, 15, maybe 20 embryos, and you kind of, honestly, the only way to say it is weed them out. They do testing and they grade them, and so they're fertilized, but you want to implant the one with the best chance of growing and growing into a healthy fetus slash then child, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Well,
I
what
think
do you
that's
do
how
with the
they.
rest?
Yeah.
They discard them.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah, I would imagine
if
that they've
you
got a lot
discard
of
an
practices.
embryo in Alabama, what are you doing to it?
Right. I would imagine
No,
they've got a
what are you
lot of
doing to it?
practices. Yeah, it's being destroyed.
You're
Yeah.
killing it.
Yeah.
Are you going to be charged with murder?
Right. Right. That's a great question.
So you have
Yeah.
civil liability, possibly or
Mm-hmm.
probably,
Mm-hmm.
and possibly criminal
Criminal.
liability in
Mm-hmm.
Alabama.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's wild.
yeah.
That's
Just to continue with this thought and where I was,
mm-hmm.
so that's what's happening. All right. So under the United States Supreme Court, I mean, United States Constitution, the embryo is not considered a child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the question is, well, will the fertility clinics appeal that ruling to the United States Supreme Court? And the
Hmm.
answer is more likely than not, no. And do you want to know why?
Yes.
Your state constitution can
Yeah.
provide more privacy rights, more coverage, more benefits, whatever term you want to use. It's than the federal constitution, meaning
Okay.
um, your state constitution can say under search and seizure, it can give you more protections than what the federal constitution does.
Okay.
Okay. And that's okay. Your state constitution can't give you less protection or rights than the federal constitution, but it can give you more.
Mm.
And so in this case, the Alabama uh,
Interesting.
Constitution evidently provides more rights than the federal Constitution. So they ruled
Hmm.
not on the U.S. Constitution's law, but on the state. So it's really not a Supreme Court United States issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it says federal law
Hmm.
sets a constitutional minimum below which a state law cannot fall. State courts, however, have and continue to expand the rights under state constitutions beyond that of the federal constitution's minimums. So that you can have more rights under the state. An example is what we're seeing in abortions.
Okay.
Florida right now wants to literally has a constitutional amendment proposal pending before the Florida Supreme Court to amend the Florida Constitution to provide abortion rights up till viability for women. Now, certainly we know under Roe versus Wade and it being overturned last year or 2 years ago, under the federal Constitution, you don't have that right. But
Hmm.
again, if you amend the constitution of
Mm.
the state,
I get what you're
that
saying.
constitution gives you more rights to
Hmm.
privacy and so forth, then they can do that. You follow me?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's
All right.
interesting.
So that's
That's
what's going
interesting.
on in Alabama. Maybe you know a little bit now about
Hmm.
it. That's a toughie. Let's just go with
It
that.
is. It
That's a
is.
real
Yeah.
toughie.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's.
but the
There's a
problem is
lot of.
what you see if you people out there in TV land, you Google it, and I even saw it on TV. Some women have already packed up their cars and loaded the planes to go to other states. because
Yeah.
their clinic has shut down. And mind you, dude, this can be hundreds of thousands of dollars in
Yeah.
preparation for the
Oh yeah.
procedure.
Oh yeah.
The storage, the this, the that.
Yeah.
The women have to take shots. It's not just okay, boom,
Yeah.
boom,
No,
and
it's
thanks for
not.
coming. It's a
Yeah.
major
Disruption.
ordeal. God bless them.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Oh
sure.
well,
For sure.
that's what's going on in Alabama now. I
Ooh.
will say this. Um, the Alabama Supreme Court is made up of 9 judges.
Okay.
Yeah, Florida's 7, Alabama's 9,
Okay.
all Republicans.
Not surprised. Not at all surprised, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I'm from Alabama, so that's
yeah,
not
Alabama.
surprised by that at all.
Yeah, Alabama. Go Tide, roll
Yeah.
Tide, roll.
Yeah, roll
All
tide,
right, so
baby.
then later on, or earlier today, Jason sent me a text about Hawaii's recent ruling
Yeah.
as it relates to the Second Amendment and guns. And
So let me real quick. Do
go
you
ahead.
want to talk about that, or do you want to switch gears? Because I was going to ask you. I had prepared to ask you some questions to update
This is
about
going to
the.
be brief. This is going
Oh,
to be
okay.
brief
All right. Do your
because
thing. Do your thing, man.
it may be a big stink in the
Yeah.
world of the internet and
Mm-hmm.
social media.
Yeah. A lot of people are upset.
It's a bunch of crap.
Mm-hmm.
All the Hawaii said was there was a man that was carrying a concealed weapon without a permit.
Open carry?
No. Open carry
His was concealed.
is you can see it.
Yeah.
Remember, open carry, you can see the gun right here.
Right.
Concealed is it's in there.
It's in there. Yeah.
Or it's under here. So open carry just means it's wild, wild west. You got a holster on, and there's the gun. Concealed is it's hidden.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Hawaii has a concealed weapons statute where if you take a class and you
You
pass the
can go.
background checks and so forth, you can carry the gun.
Mm-hmm.
They just said that a man can be prosecuted for carrying a gun in public without a permit.
Mm-hmm.
Up until
Yeah.
January 1st of 2023, Florida had the same law.
Yeah, I think it was the way that they said it.
Of course,
They said
I
a
get it.
particular part
The
of
way
it.
they
Yeah.
said it is the way they want to inflame people.
Yes.
But that's why I'm telling you it's just
Yeah.
crap. They're
Yeah.
Florida up until July 1st of 2023, when
Yeah.
DeSantis signed the you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
have a concealed weapons permit to carry a gun. It was a felony in Florida to carry a concealed weapons without a permit.
You know,
And so all the hoopla is garbage.
yeah. I'm
And I
starting to
gotta be honest,
realize. Go
I
ahead.
disagree with the Florida's law on being able to carry a gun without a permit.
Mm.
How, just that simple. You should have to pass, a background check and,
Yeah.
show some kind of minimum competency that you even know how to load the gun, much
That would
less
be
shoot it.
great.
And
That
you
would be
should have to
great.
take the class that tells you where you can carry that gun and where you cannot carry that gun. And I'll give you an example. Can you take your concealed weapon into a church?
Yeah.
All churches?
No.
And which churches can you not take your concealed weapon into?
I don't know.
I will
Aren't they
tell
our
you.
private property, right?
So you had Nativity Church right up the street here.
Mm-hmm.
What is attached to or part of the Nativity Church?
Oh, do they have a school?
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah,
You can't
okay.
take your gun into a school. And
Mm-hmm.
you cannot take your gun into a church that's kind of connected, so to
There
speak,
you go.
to the school.
Okay.
Well,
Got you.
who would know that?
That's what I was gonna say.
Unless you take the class.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And the list
Well,
goes
that
on
and
and on. But I don't, it is what it is. No one asked Paul Reed or Jason Crawford whether they,
you got to start
DeSantis-
tuning into the live stream,
DeSantis cared.
otherwise.
But I'm just saying this
Give me
whole
some-
thing about the
Yeah.
Hawaii Supreme Court
Mhm.
is a big nothing. They're just saying that, the man can be prosecuted for having a concealed weapons without a permit. Big deal. Many, many states have laws where you have to have a permit. Florida was one up until July 1st of 2023. So all you people in TV and internet land, Hawaii really didn't do anything. Now, I
Yeah.
his comments were they're archaic and they're this and they're that, and then the world's out of touch. That goes more to gun control and things of that nature than the case itself. The case itself is pretty
Hmm.
easy. The man was
Right.
carrying a gun without a permit. That's pretty.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the way the justices worded, and by the way, Hawaii very liberal. It doesn't surprise me that they said that. And whatever. All right, so there's it. Alabama Supreme Court does one thing. Hawaii really doesn't do anything. They just make a little political statement, but they didn't
Yeah.
do anything. And so what do you got for questions there?
So is Reed and Reed going to open up a social media claims division for personal injury if HB1 goes through? Because
What's
uh,
HB1?
oh, sorry, you're right. HB1 is the social media, the minors in social media bill
Nah,
that's
could care
that's
less.
going through.
It's a good thing. DeSantis is probably going to veto it though.
I mean, that's the talk, right?
Yeah, because he
So,
wants
but
parents to have the right to override the law.
mhm,
Yeah.
the
And the
but
kicker is, in all fairness to the Republicans that enacted it, the parents won't have a choice. The kids will make their parents. So, you know,
yeah, but to the point of my question.
shoot.
So the social media platforms that knowingly, recklessly violate the sub paragraphs where
I don't know. I could care less. Am I doing it? Nope. They are.
okay,
That's a bigger dog than Reed and Reed to fight those
okay. I
people.
was
And
gonna
they
say because they
and then
award
you got to
attorneys
ask
fees and
yourself, well, you
damages.
remember what are the damages?
That's a good
There's
question.
always there's one thing to be
Okay,
negligent
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
have
yeah,
intentional
yeah,
conduct, okay,
yeah.
but then what are damages? And I'll give you an example. If I push you, you can sue me for battery.
Hmm.
I push you, battery. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he pushed me. Okay, well, how much you asking for, Jason?
Hmm. Yeah,
$1 million.
a
dollars.
million dollars. Yeah,
We ain't
yeah,
giving
yeah.
you $1 million. We may give you
Right,
nominal damages, maybe give you $1. He pushed you, big deal.
right.
But if
Yeah.
I punch you in the mouth, you fall down, hit your head, and now you're in a coma and you're brain damaged, those damages are now different.
Hmm.
So, what are the damages to a 14-year-old that can't go on Instagram?
No, it's not that.
No.
That's not what the damage. That's not what this section's
I
about.
thought it's the kids can't use the social media, so to speak.
No, this well, it is, but it's also the bill's been it's grown and changed as
I'm
it's been
sure.
amended. But this part is about their failing to terminate, or if they fail in the content moderation. So, like a child is, if a minor 16, this would have to be like 16 to 18 at that point. But if they're shown materials that's supposed to be vetted out for them, according to the way that the bill is set up, which would be
Okay.
sexually explicit material and different things like
Well, that's
that.
fine. Still, what are your damages? I mean, if the kid freaks out and commits suicide,
That'd be
maybe you have
damages.
something. If the
Yeah,
kid freaks out and has some kind of
yeah,
psychological or psychiatric issue related to it, but I
yeah.
got news for you. Proving that, good luck.
Well, some of these are about grooming and other things that are a little bit easier to prove. But you're
Dan.
right. You're right on that one. I'm wondering though
And
if this wouldn't just.
once again, do you know why lawyers don't take even severe injury cases, don't take cases um, where there's little or no bodily injury liability, even though the damages are staggering?
Oh, because they can just file bankruptcy.
Yeah, you can sue anybody, and I keep this. Let
Yeah.
me come over here real quick. What's up, Haley? And I actually show this to people, and
Oh yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
judgments in here, this whole folder of judgments in the millions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
um, that are worthless.
Yeah.
So suing somebody in another state that's calling into Polk County where Grady Judd cares more about
Mm-hmm.
sexual predators than he does the freaking meth problem in his own backyard, but don't get me started there.
Yeah.
Um, there's no money.
I was just wondering if, because the cap is right now at 10,000, if it would give birth to a bunch of lawsuits where it's like, oh, I saw this,
I'm,
screenshot it. So you get the
I'm,
proof and the damages, just kind of
I'm sure it will, but are we
chop
going?
shopping them.
I'm sure it
Okay.
might, but no.
Okay.
There's
And yeah, I just wanted to
there's
find
so
out what
many
your
there's so
thoughts on
many
that were.
issues with that. First Amendment issues, right to
Yeah.
privacy. The list goes on and on. And
Mm-hmm.
so, no.
Okay.
What else you
Well,
got?
I just wanted to hear you weigh in on that because that I thought
Nah,
it's really interesting.
like, hey, look, good luck, but no.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of grooming and predator bills that are floating
There should
around.
be. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
sickos out there.
Mm-hmm.
Bunch of them. It's sad. It's real sad.
Well,
But I don't
there's
want to get into that either because
yeah.
that kind of goes into politics
Well, that ultimately
and
took the
you
shift
know,
of the social media bill.
yeah.
Was
So
it
yeah,
took
I'm
that
not very,
direction?
stay away from that. Stay away from politics and religion. Just that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's,
Yeah.
half the people are gonna agree with you, the other half aren't, and it's just that simple.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Well, here's the deal. It is extremely windy out in Tampa. I don't know what
It's
it's like
wet.
up in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It's
It's
supposed to
wet up here.
rain tonight, a little bit maybe,
Yeah.
and then a beautiful, beautiful weekend. So I don't really have anything else to say.
I'm
Just
out.
got a
Yeah.
couple of things. Again, it's amazing how a single really meaningless ruling in Hawaii is turned into this,
It's
big
why it's blown
big
up.
Second
Yeah.
Amendment NRA because it's just simple. Yeah, the guy was
Like a
carrying a concealed weapon
volcano.
without a permit. He can be charged. Big
Yeah.
deal. Jeez, that's not rocket science. And I
Yeah.
got news for you. If you're carrying, even in Florida, if you're carrying a concealed weapon
Mm-hmm.
and you don't meet the requirements of carrying that concealed weapons, i.e., maybe you're a convicted felon who cannot carry a concealed weapon, or maybe you've had some type of what is it,
Mm.
domestic violence charges.
Right.
So there
Yeah.
are many things that would prevent someone had you
Valid.
registered for a concealed weapon to
Right.
get one. If you would have failed that permit, that registration, then you can't carry one.
Yeah. You
So
still can't carry.
you
Yeah.
can still get arrested in Florida for carrying a concealed weapons if you
Mm-hmm.
don't meet the requirements of carrying a concealed weapon, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So I
Yeah.
mean that one, when you saw me that, I looked down like, this is a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get this. They wanted to make a little political,
Mm-hmm.
honestly liberal statement, whatever.
Well, I always appreciate having your perspective on things because you mince no words. You go straight for the jugular every time. Like my brain is different. I contemplate like various. I'm very bad at multiple choice questions on tests because
Yeah.
I will reword the question in my head and go, well, under certain circumstances, it could be da 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 da, and you
That's
cut
funny.
straight through.
Those were in school. Those were bam, 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 bam.
You
Those
were
were
good at that, I'm
one of
sure.
the
Yeah,
4 hour
yeah.
classes.
I was terrible at that.
Criminal procedure was 250 questions, 4 hour test. I was out in three. It was multiple choice. I'm like, this was easy. Yeah, really. The written
I would have
part,
failed it.
the written part was more difficult for me because, to be honest, my mind was thinking way up here,
Mm,
and my pen was still back there. And I
mm,
go back and read it. I'm like, what the hell was this? I
yeah.
mean, because I wish, honestly, I would have liked to just sit by the professor and have oral
Oral. Yeah, oral
discussion.
exam. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would have been top of my class.
Yeah.
Instead,
Same.
like I said, my
Same.
mind's way over here. I'm on page 10 in my mind and on page
Yeah.
2 on my paper. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But let's
Call it a day.
1:30. Let's go ahead and get out of here.
Yeah, I got a million calls to catch back up on, so
Go get
we'll
him,
get to it.
Tiger.
Yeah, brother. You got it. You got it. All right. Taking us out. Here we go.
Read. It's like having a lawyer in a pen.
That's right.
Read. It's like having a lawyer in the family.